All right, that's better. So we're going to finally do a garden tour. And show you kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly, and what we do here. Hopefully the mic gets this good, and I won't have to go back and voice over. But so we're going to start here. This is one of the newer beds. One of the experiments we've been doing this year is to see how well we can grow food outside of what I think of as the garden proper, which we'll get to in a minute. But this is melons mostly, watermelons, cucamelons, not cucamelons, ah, um, honeydews, that kind of thing. We're starting to get some, which is good. This bed is simply, and most of the beds you'll see outside anyway, are simply just, cardboard with compost on top. Um, the compost that we've used, and I can do stuff in more detail on this later if people care, or I just feel like doing it for my own satisfaction to hearing my own voice. But just the simplest thing, getting some cardboard. We got our compost for all this from the dump. Actually, our dump does a good job of making pretty decent cardboard. I've never really had trash in it, which I can't say about the stuff I bought from commercial places. Um, and it is sometimes a little carbon heavy probably, so we usually substitute that by putting fresh cut grass, liquid feeds, and stuff on it. And this is one of 3 sets of grates that have, well, you know, 2 out of 3 have not done so well. The other one's done really well, but we had a huge drought early on, right when they were planted. And as you can see, looking down there, not 100% sure if that's dead or not, but we're going to leave it for now. This area is mostly lamb's ears right now. There is like a huge hollyhock in there, a couple of them. Babe thought she got most of the lamb's ears. She did not. This used to just be a gravel patch. Just be gravel here. We never pulled on it. And again, just threw down some cardboard, some compost last year for part of it, and had a lot of stuff come up, a lot of flowers that germinated. You can still maybe see a few zinnias in there, probably some cosmos, another hollyhock coming up there. Um, and it was somewhere just to plant and grow. As you're going to see, we like things wild in our house. Really the focus being on providing wildlife habitat and such. So we'll go around the front. This is, of course, needs to be weeded again. It's no big deal. All these I should have filmed sooner, but there was a ton of, you can see, a ton of black-eyed Susies, which have mostly gone over now. Calla lily that's going to need to be planted. Around here is what I think of as my alpine garden, which I started last year, and like that did really well. I can't remember the names of them. This is one of my favorites. It's been gorgeous this year. And I just wanted to plant some here. The soil isn't the best, though that is changing. Again, something I can talk about later. My really favorite thing this year has been this, which is a Persian shield. Saw one at there's a Elizabethan garden near the Outer Banks, and saw one of these with some huge leaves. Not supposed to be able to overwinter in our climate, so I'll have to dig that up. Maybe I may try to leave some and see how it does. We're kind of on the border for it. But this was one plant that has multiplied into many. So I think some people might be getting Persian shields for Christmas later this year. I also have one inside that is not done as well. Here in the front, we've tried to do some weirds with our trees. This is an apple tree that it's the 2nd year here. I'm not sure how old it is exactly. It bloomed this year. Unfortunately, it was the only apple tree that bloomed this year, so it didn't get any cross-pollination, so no apples. But that's what this mostly is apples. As you can see, our comfrey's coming back here. I've already cut it down once and have some comfrey tea that we use. When it flowers again, I'll probably have used all that and need more comfrey tea. Again, that's a pink pearl apple, by the way. This is, I'm not going to look at all of them either. This is actually a Reliance, so that's cool. This looks like purple sage probably coming up. I know she seeded a lot of purple sage up here. The bees love it. We also keep bees here. And and that's been good. This is, I hate this thing, but the birds love it. I chopped it all the way back last year, and that's pretty much what I do every year. This is gorgeous. I really should get Babe to do these with me because I forget the names of things, but I absolutely love that silver and that texture of this plant. What was here before was the azaleas and a bunch of weeds when we bought this place. That azalea actually was so unkempt that I thought it was one azalea. It's actually two azaleas someone planted too close together. More apples, trees. And just, yeah, annuals we picked up at the nursery this year and planted in here again. Weeds are coming in. We'll get them back. We don't, as long as it doesn't choke out what I want, which is what's going on with this grass here, it's going to have to come out. I don't worry about it too much, especially pollinators like them. Because if the bees like it, that's good for us. This was the first, it's a kind of willow. I forget what kind of willow it is. It's the first bush I bought here for the house, and it has done spectacularly, and it just kind of all year long is wonderful. Sometimes it's a little more silvery, almost pink at times. Other times it's real green. I just absolutely love this willow, which I can't remember exactly what kind it is. Or pastels they're going over. But really bad Japanese beetles this year. We had the traps, took care of them last year. This year, not so much. I've put out new traps. I really need to come and pull more of these leaves off. I've done that before. We've also been doing the soapy water thing. So that's the thing. There's another apple. Over here we have, well, a pear that we thought was dead is doing fine. This is a peach tree, and I thought I was going to get peaches. There was probably like half a dozen, got to be the size of about ping pong balls. And of course, where we're at, we hit that drought where we went almost a month without any rain, and the tree had to let those go, and those fell off, you know, really to conserve moisture. So we made it around here to the shady side of the yard. I have a whole thing on water management in this ditch that'll one day get done. This is another one of our new beds this year. It was just the experiment this year to see how much food crop we could grow outside of the garden proper, which is fenced in. And we, other than a few beds that rabbits can get in, we don't really have to worry about, you know, animals eating as much. They've actually been really successful. Our other thing here was, could we grow like brassica and cooler weather cloths over here where it's shaded, and you can see the hoops. There was shade cloth here up until very recently. And I pulled it up. We got some new plantings going in that have gone in there. But it's mostly salad crops and brassicas. Like, that's the kind of lettuce. It's not bok choy. I thought it was. She's like, no, it's not. It's something else. Kale is doing really well. Kale really seems to like us around here, and there's only certain ones that the animals really want. You'll see some of the messy stuff, but this, she just replanted with peas. I planted peas here, had not had this netting on it, and had not had the netting behind there, if you can see. So some rabbits got in there and got some of it. Ooh, looks like they might have tried to put a hole in it too. I need to check that. But the idea is to get peas to grow up this and create some privacy here on really what's kind of a storage. It would be a mud room if it was closed in, but it's kind of a storage porch. So let's go around. We'll walk around the edge and we'll show you some of what we're doing on the border. I always say we because it's me and Babe. If you don't have a partner, I don't know how you do this, especially if you work, which we both do, which is another reason why it's messy. You know, time spent weeding and making a garden look neat is time spent not doing something else, usually planting. Here are the first 3 of the blackberry bushes. They're doing really well. The idea is there's some blackberries and raspberries will walk along. But the idea is that they will hopefully take over the border if I keep the weed pressure down and cut back and encourage them to grow and take care of them, that they will eventually take over and create a new border here. There is some footage and pictures that will show just how much work I have done here. This was not something you could walk into when we bought this property. I cleared all this out, partially so I could access the ditch and do work there, partially for this. This is a mushroom bed. This is for wine caps. They are in there. They have not started propping up. Every now and then I will see spores on the outside, but if you pull it back, you can see there's lots of little, oh shoot, mycelia in there. Mushrooms are, you know, it's been inoculated. It's happening. It's just taking its time. But yeah, as messy as this was, you couldn't even walk back here before. I've pulled so much trash and stuff out of here, and could talk forever about, you know, what it's like to have an older piece of property that someone actually used to take care of and people have let go. We may connect everything and cut that. You can't really tell from here, but you can't make it through there either. More of our trees. So this is more of the border. So if you notice here and on down as we're going to walk, there are bamboo canes and string. Bamboo canes mark where I planted a raspberry bush or anything, and the string just kind of keeps them all tied together. So when I cut, I know like where my raspberry bushes are supposed to be. I know where I need what I need to clear out. I need to get in here and hand pull some of that for these raspberries. But we got a couple raspberries off of them, which I didn't expect to get any. I came through today and kind of cleaned it up. But the idea is that, you know, we encourage raspberries and blackberries and stuff to grow here along the edge. Every video, everything you'll see will tell you full sun for raspberries and blackberries. Well, if you're growing commercially, yeah, sure. Where they grow in nature is along the edge and the borders of woods, and they kind of take over. And that's what we're trying to do here. Everything we do here is, one, we try to do no dig as much as possible. That's not always possible. And two, try to at least think in terms of permaculture, even if we aren't necessarily designing in those terms. We try to think in terms of working with nature. What inputs are we putting in, and that kind of thing. So yeah, this whole border is just, you know, it's a work in progress. It has been cut back very far. I'll show you in just a second. And this is another bed of mushrooms, almond agaricus. Again, I had to cut in here. You can see there's still lots of rubble here. I have mixed feelings about what I'm going to do with it philosophically, whether to leave it. I kind of like it in a way. But also, you know, like leaving brambles and stuff that provide shelter and habitat for critters, especially in the wintertime, is also something I think about doing. We'll talk about the wildflower groves later. This magnificent bed is our asparagus bed. This will be the end of the second full year. So should be ready to harvest next year. I mean, some of these you can see there. That's you know, looks like you could harvest that, but we're letting it go 2 full years to get really established. All of this, so really, let me show you around. These are just some random beds I put in, and I don't even know what she put in them. I just had leftover pieces from plastic I use for other things. But so starting here, these are Jerusalem artichokes that are just tied up because they were trying to come out of the bed, and if you let them take over, they will. But really, from where these are, about halfway where these are, all the way over was woods. Like from there all the way across, all this was grown up and wooded and kind of really trashy. It's still kind of wild. Like I said, everything we do is kind of wild. Don't have time or inclination to make it look perfect. I like nature. I'm just trying to help it. But that is, and there's video and footage of that I'll probably put together one day to kind of show how far we came. There was nothing here when we came here, absolutely nothing. And we've done so much work the past 3 years. It's amazing. This is another, probably the last bit I put in this year. It was kind of a, hey, I have tomatoes. I want them to go somewhere. And I was like, okay, let's do one more. And I always have extra cattle panel. I just kind of rigged that up as best I could for now. We'll see. The tomatoes have been okay here, not great. Nothing's been great here. I think this batch we got from the dump might have been a little more carbon heavy than others. Again, have substituted with some liquid seed, some grass, and actually that layer on top is some homemade compost that I just put on there yesterday. We also have basil and peppers in this. which are doing really well. The basil finally decided to take off. I love basil. We have tons of fresh basil and herbs around here. That's just kind of my junk pile to be made into trellises and other things. Let's go in the garden proper. This is the first thing we did with these, really the first 4 beds in here. This whole area is overgrown. Yes, it's weeded. It needs to be weeded. I didn't bring in more wood chips here because I finally, after a year and a half, 2 years, have convinced my partner that we need to do living pathways in here. I don't want to bring wood chip in here every day for the rest of my life. Again, thinking in terms of long-term permaculture. And I think the best option is when this wood chip is really rotted down, there's a very thick layer of wood chip in parts of this. And to kind of come through, and we're going to seed it all with clover probably in the fall and again in the spring, and just cut this. I can get the push mower in here, we'll just cut this. You can see there are bags everywhere. Most of the bags have potatoes in them. We'll have a lot of potatoes. We've been eating fresh potatoes from the garden for probably 2 months now, and we'll continue to do that. This was a salad bed that's gone to bugs and stuff. There's some stuff that have started to come back. Some of the cabbages look like they're going to come back, or have been newly planted. Looks like she's been in there planting stuff and pulling stuff out. This was mostly radishes before. Now it's a lot of beans. There's a few tomatoes. There's a few tomatoes everywhere because there's so many tomatoes. See, tomatoes, tomatoes, peppers, not tomatoes. There's blueberry bushes in there. Some of them have done really well, some not so much. Again, an area that needs to be weeded. You can see my wildflower meadow is not doing as good this year as last year. A lot more weeds than wildflowers right now. I'll see how it plays out through the fall and decide how I'm going to reseed it when I cut it back. I got a feeling when I reseeded it, I didn't get things covered well and birds came and ate them. This was the first trellis I built here. As you can see on one side, we have some peas and stuff coming up, beans. This is actually the second batch. We've grown them up this earlier in the year. And then we have our cucumber selection. The yellow ones are coming in. Not a lot of green ones. I don't know if they didn't really make it to pass seed. There's some. We got some little guys. She just picked, there were some huge white ones here. There's a decent sized white one, but there's some twice as big that we have picked. And it'll grow up. Cattle panels are great. If you can get them, they're your friend. If you don't have a way to haul them, just order a bunch of them. Like I have 4, 5. I'm always finding uses for them. There's another bed that needs a little bit of work. The sorrel is going down. I love the red vein sorrel. One, it's gorgeous. I love the way it looks, and it tastes really good. I like it as a salad crop. A lot of times I'll substitute it for spinach or even cabbage. Looks like we got more stuff coming in there. Tomatoes, tomatoes, tomatoes. Everywhere tomatoes. These garden boxes actually belong to my father. And when he passed, we kind of divided them up. He liked to grow his tomatoes in these garden boxes. We kept them. We got some eggplant coming this year, hopefully. Please, God, let us get eggplant. Every year we give away eggplants, extra eggplants to people. And theirs do fantastic and ours do nothing. So this year she didn't give any away. She's like, no one's getting any. Chilies, peppers, whatever you want to call them. More beans. More herbs. You know, some thyme, some rosemary. Like I say, lots of herbs around here. I'll just come out here and pick whatever I want to use. I use thyme all the time. Pun not intended. Sorry for the pun. This is our strawberry bed, which is, they're all June bearing in this bed, so they're done. They're done. We took out some of the bad ones. For some of the ones we released weren't good, but they'll put in new runners and we'll have strawberries again next year. One of the tomato beds, there are 3 dedicated tomato beds that also have peppers and stuff interspersed among them. Again, I built these with cattle panels. I mean, if you want to know how to do that, there's videos online to show you. Don't ask me. It's easy enough. It's pretty much how it looks. Bend it, stick it in there. This This guy was growing out of there. He's a volunteer. And I just kind of let him grow. I should probably prop him up with something, but I've been letting him grow. You know, this has gone crazy because, you know, wherever there's an empty spot, Babe likes to plant. But this bed is mostly our large tomatoes. A lot of, I like black Krim and those kinds of tomatoes. I like odd tomatoes. I didn't think I liked tomatoes. I just don't like the red beefsteak store-bought tomatoes that are really bred to look pretty and last a long time, but actually don't taste very good. So I don't eat tomatoes unless they come out of my garden, like literally. So that's what this bed is. This bed is mostly the cherries. It's all indeterminate, so they'll grow as long as they can. This bed is also the fennel that went to flower, and we've just been letting it gloriously go to flower for the past few months because the bees absolutely love it. They're all over it, not just the honeybees that we have, which are back there, but the bumblebees, all the bees, they love it. So again, if the pollinators love it, if we don't feel like it's really drowning out, here it is a little bit, but we never have a problem growing tomatoes, then we let it go. Again, bags everywhere, also places that need to be weeded everywhere. That's the failure garden. It's not really failing, we just give up on it. I'm not even gonna bother with it today. But we got some peppers coming in here with what's the tomatoes? Matter of fact, I'm gonna pull that one. If it's sticking in the ground. Oh, no, it's already, something already got it. So that pepper will go in the compost. We have a 3-bay system. That bay is the one I'm using right now. That one's cooking. But yeah, this again, we like different kinds of tomatoes. We plant different varieties. Sun Golds, Mountain Pride, just anything different. Little orange tomatoes. It's tomatoes every day around here right now. I mean, I haven't, other than tomato paste, or if we have to buy sauce because somebody doesn't want chunky sauce, then other than that, it's like we haven't bought a tomato product in probably 2 years. They get frozen, they get canned. I will very quickly throw some in a blender and make some tomato sauce. They just go, we just use them. We rather use them fresh. We both know how to cook. We both are good cooks. We both enjoy cooking. So we take advantage of that. We'll take a little look around the greenhouse, which is just a cattle panel greenhouse that, well, it's a little more than a cattle panel greenhouse. A lot of times you see these, they're made for almost more like hoop houses where you're growing directly in the ground. That is not what this was for. We wanted somewhere to grow outside and have shelving, so we'll go in there. But as you can see, and we're going to go into the section where we cover the squash takeover that is happening now, which is glorious. But it's starting here too. Squashes and pumpkins coming in. The greenhouse is actually a mess, but I just show you really quick, and this might get edited out. This was, I built a support for this, so this could be up higher and have shelving in here and have straight walls. And this is, I think it's the end of our second or third full year of it. And it is held up. I haven't had to replace anything other than this door. I did a crap job of building a door. I'm not a carpenter. Not a construction guy at all, but yeah, the beginning of the squash takeover. And that's happening. Squash, pumpkins. Oh, that's a pretty flower right there. Not sure if you can tell how pretty, but it's pretty. But they're planted again in some beds that literally are just compost on top of cardboard. This is the trellis I built because we were going to do kiwis. It's like, hey, I ordered some kiwi trees. And they're about to get here, and I found out kiwis don't grow on trees, even though people call them kiwi trees. And they try to train them like trees a lot of times, especially in professional orchards. They are not trees, they are vines. Just like grapes, just like tomatoes, just like anything else, they are vines and they need something to climb. So I built this, and then of course, the kiwi plants have done awful. The first ones we planted, there was a late frost that got 2 of them. We planted some this year. They haven't really done anything. This year looks like we're going to have some squash and pumpkins climbing up. Again, more potatoes. Most of these bags are potatoes. That's the way to do potatoes. I might do a video on that. Doing them in grow bags or buckets. Because if you're trying to dig them out with a fork, good chance you're going to damage them while you're doing it. But in a grow bag, it's real easy to dig in there with your hands or even just dump it. And then you can dump that compost somewhere useful. We'll not explore back there today. This is a cherry. The one of the two that survived is the replacement for the other. But again, the Japanese beetles on these cherries have been pretty bad. So hopefully that one does well. This one is dead. Here are the other two grapevines. Again, these two not really doing anything. These two doing fantastic. This one and that one are doing great. I've been training them down. Again, this is the thing where everyone's like 20 feet apart. They got to be 20 feet apart. And I'm like, well, I don't really want them 20 feet apart. And so I'm not doing that. We'll see how they turn out. But they'll probably, when they meet, that's where we'll end their growth at. They're 10 feet apart, and then they've got about 5 feet to the post. But these two have done really well, which is pretty, I'm happy. I think, you know, a 1/3 success rate on the first time putting grapes in the ground. With the drought we had, again, it was planted the grapes. Here comes the drought, no rain. They need like 6 gallons of water the first really couple months, and there was no rain, and it was just impossible. So again, more of the squash takeover. Lots and lots of squash coming in, and zucchini, and then we'll sit in what is my favorite part. I'll show you, and then we'll go sit. So this little keyhole garden I did, some of the flowers have died back now. We got to plant some more. We're trying to get really some perennials going in here. It'll take a little while, but you know, there's some dahlias and, you know, some bunch of other stuff in here that is just kind of whatever, really. I'm hoping to get some foxglove in here. The foxglove has already gone over. That's why you didn't see any. But like, that is magnificent right there. And then I have, you know, our 2 Adirondack chairs, which is, this is my place to sit, right? Like last year I like kept moving chairs around over here, like trying to find my shade spot so we'd have a nice cool spot in the shade. And, you know, the idea is that you can sit here and people might not see you and you might not see them. And that's fine. I will show you, there's our rose over there. I missed that. I'm not getting up. I'm comfy. But there's a rose there that will, it's like a tea tree rose, so that'll be nice. It was nice earlier this year, but I'll shut the plants and stuff here. But yeah, that's it. You can kind of see, it's a lot, and I'm sure I screwed that up. I'm sure I talked about things I wasn't pointing the camera at, but I'll get better at this. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it interesting. Really, I just want to document stuff for us, and also kind of just, like, things don't have to be as hard as people make them out to be when it comes to growing. So that's all. Thank you.